You don't know. What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We got a live CHGO Bulls pod coming up for you all right around the corner. Today, we are checking in on the Eastern Conference standings, the Tankathon standings, where the Bulls sit in each, weighing the benefits of the Bulls maybe even making the actual playoffs versus prioritizing their draft positioning. And then from there, we will talk about the recent strong play of Coby White and Josh Giddey. Look at what they're accomplishing on the floor as a unit, and if that unit could be this team's backcourt of the future. That's all next. Emergency cases. Yeah. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave. Bam. BWL Sports. Will the Goat Gottlieb. Perfectly coiffed. Coiffed and coiffed or dark. Will_Gottlieb. The one and only Katie Dovey is our queen of the controls. What's up, Katie?
Hi.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy.
Lots of fun conversation on deck. Before we dive into our Bulls topics, just a quick reminder, if you haven't been checking your socials to start the week, if you missed pre and post last night, we are running another CHGO Die Hard promo this week and this week only in honor of NFL free agency season being upon us and the Bears making a bunch of great moves. Shout out to our Bears crew doing a great job so far this week, breaking them all down. If you want all of the great Die Hard only content that comes along with that, now's the time. What are you waiting for? Sign up to become a CHGO Die Hard to get all of those great NFL free agency and Bears coverage perks, plus, of course, the free t-shirt when you sign up. 20% off every time you shop. That ALLCITY store, including some great St. Patty stuff they got available right now. And, of course, also the other content, written and otherwise, here at CHGO, reserved for our diehards. Yeah. Will the Goat Gottlieb's coverage of our beloved Bulls.
Like 99% of what I'm writing these days is diehard. So
diehard only.
I know you guys love me so much. Want to read everything I write.
Obviously.
That's how you got to do it.
Followers say that's true.
The followers.
Mm-hmm. Your number of followers.
Shout out to Johnny Pigeon.
The coiffers.
The coiffers, baby. Shout out to the coiffers.
Stock the coiffers.
All them coiffers out there. This is really cool what we do. That's what I was thinking in my head the whole time you were talking. Like, I don't know anybody else who will do this 5 days a week with y'all, like good or bad, love or hate, indifferent, whatever. We're here for y'all to talk about this, and we really enjoy doing it, like over and over again. Like, it's something wrong with all of us, which is a good thing. Katie
Sickos.
too. Something wrong with all of us is a good thing. But
this is cool. I do sometimes wonder what it would be like with the team that was going places.
Sure. Oh, we know it would be amazing
if we ever come to that day.
Yeah, man.
My goodness,
I can't wait.
I would be just so geeked all the time.
Yeah.
I would need to be given tranquilizers. Like, you could argue I need tranquilizers for my rage problem currently.
Fair.
And it would just change from rage to a different reason for needing. But like, I would rather be needing tranquilizers because I'm so excited.
Yeah. You would be overjoyed, like the first time they had the draft here.
The comments would be so
you
different
and I
too.
were when that happened. So
the comments would be so different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why is Mustache Man so hyped?
So hyped and ready for this team. He just loves them so.
Why is he so blindly optimistic all the time?
Why does Will go from a 6 to a 6.5?
I hate to tell you, Dave.
Hate to tell you, man.
I took a scroll through the comments yesterday and found one that I really liked, and it just said, Matt Peck is such a peanut, and that made me really happy.
Okay.
I love peanuts. Peanuts are delicious.
Well done. I am allergic, so.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Man. I knew that.
Yeah, it's one of the saddest things that I know, honestly.
Truly. Like, I
love peanuts so much.
I had a PB&J for lunch today, and it is just always so satisfying. I feel so sorry for you that you can't have a PB&J.
When I was hanging out with Greg watching wrestling on Sunday, shout out Greg.
Lex.
His friend was like, oh, man, I made a dessert. And I was like, well, I have a question for you. He was like, no questions, man. I can't wait to surprise everybody. He's like, unless you're allergic to nuts or something. You're not allergic to nuts, are you? Yeah. What? Oh, Yeah, he felt really bad about it. I'm like, not your fault, dog. It's all right. But yes, definitely allergic. So if you ever want to send me foods or anything of that nature, just as long as there's no nuts in it or peanut butter, we'll be good to go. What up, Joey?
Johnny Pigeon saying the cashews are the goat nut.
Oh,
I do like cashews.
Are you allergic to all nuts or just peanuts?
all of them.
Man,
Once I found out it was like peanuts and like almonds and stuff, I just completely said no to everything.
more.
Yeah, I cut it all off, man. Like once I cut it off, it's off. That's kind of human being I am. Once it's off, it's gone.
so sad.
I'm loyal, but once you get me unloyal,
What's the PB&J equivalent for someone who's allergic to peanuts? Like, what's like the just quick lunch on the fly sandwich?
that's a great question.
Is there
Jelly?
such a thing?
I don't know. Every sandwich, I think I just
grilled
order
cheese,
it.
maybe.
I guess I'm more of like a breakfast burrito person now. So that's probably my on-the-go thing is I'll just order a either veggie burrito or breakfast burrito,
What about
and I'll
like
eat that.
sunflower butter? That's
I
not.
don't even know what that is. I've never
Yeah,
heard
it's
of
like
that.
a peanut butter alternative.
I wouldn't trust it.
Okay.
I'm
Can you eat
okay.
sunflower
Like
seeds?
Dave says you can
Yeah.
keep that sunflower
I'm
butter.
okay. I don't even want to put my brain or my mind.
I
You know
wonder how
what I'm
much
saying? On
different nuts
something
and
like
seeds
that.
are, you know?
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't even trust that weird organic peanut butter that you get it and
Yeah.
it comes like separated with
Oh,
like
but it's
oil on
so-
top.
No,
Yes.
it's
Just
so
normal
much
peanut
better.
butter?
No.
You just have to store it upside down.
Mhm.
What? Don't.
best kind is when
don't
you
make
go to
me
the grocery
diversify how I store my peanut butter.
It's really good, Matt. It's really good.
That's a good question. Though,
I
man.
also got yelled at today for getting oat milk.
Oh yeah, that's dumb.
No, I really like oat milk, but then I
I don't
got
mind
here
oat milk.
and Steven yelled at me for getting oat milk.
Yeah, oat milk is
So-
dumb.
I don't mind it.
I prefer my milk to come from milk.
Yeah, I don't mind oat milk at all. Also, shout out to Android, who told us yesterday the weather would be in the 40s, and Katie told us it would be in the 50s. Shout out to Androids, baby.
Androids?
Again, they were right. Shout out to the old dudes.
Enjoy your iPhones, people. Shout out to Andrew in the comments who said, happy off day. Want to chime in before going to work.
Oh,
I'm resigned to making the play-in. You should be. Can we please stay in 10th? Jerry doesn't deserve the gate money. I don't know, man. We're well, that's a great lead in, Andrew. Thank you, because we're talking. We're talking standings for the first part of today's show. After last night's NBA action, the Bulls, now winners of 3 straight, tying a season high as far as win streaks go, are 27-38.
Mhm.
Now 4.5 clear of Brooklyn and Philly beneath them, and 5 clear of the Toronto Raptors. They are also just 2.5 games back of the Heat and the Magic above them in that play-in tournament bracket.
Against whom they own the tiebreaker.
Both of them. Yikes.
Yikes.
So, can the Bulls stay in 10th and not move up to 9th? I don't know. The Bulls seem very motivated to stack some March and April wins
they do.
in classic Bulls form.
Classic.
And we all loved that Nico Mirotic-led winning streak, didn't we? So much.
Oh,
Sean
14-9.
Kill draft pick. We all loved that so much.
amazing.
Just enjoy these March wins, Peck. What's wrong with you? Oh, God, I'm already here.
He's already
I'm
there.
already here.
First break.
So, I mean, look, I think
And we
it's
spent the
it's
first half
way,
talking about peanut butter.
I think right now it is way more likely for the Bulls to move up in the East play-in standings than it is for them to not only move up in the lottery standings, but to avoid falling down in the lottery standings. I think if you're talking about which of those things is most likely, it's them moving up from 10th in the East.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more likely that they move out of the lottery altogether
Oh, God.
than that they move up in the lottery. Last night, the Spurs overtook them. They are in a free fall without Wembanyama. You have teams that understand what is the assignment. They are going towards the bottom. The Suns are kind of falling apart here. They don't even have their own pick. Like a team like the Rockets is going to get lucky in the lottery there.
Yeah.
It's just like these teams understand who they are. The Blazers, they have had a great stretch here. They've lost 4 in a row, and they're a team that notoriously tanks down the stretch. I expect them to do that again. I think most likely scenario right now is that the Bulls finish 10th in the lottery. There's a chance where they climb up above Miami, who would be 11th. Phoenix, Dallas, who obviously is without all their players now. They could be free falling. And then that's just the lottery. I really do think that there's a chance that the Bulls are going to make it out of the play-in and into the playoffs. So that would take them out of the lottery altogether. And what a crazy outcome that would be to go through this season, just to end up with the 15th or 16th pick in the draft.
It would truly be insane. Shout out to our guy Cowley, who had a great column in the Sun Times today. The headline, "No one builds mediocrity better than Bulls executive Arturas Karnisovas." In there, he's talking about where the Bulls are this season compared to recent seasons, and this we traded DeMar, we traded Zach, we traded Caruso, we're pivoting, youth movement. Through 65 games with DeMar, Zach, and Vooch 2 seasons ago, the Bulls were 31-34. Last year, with that big three, they were 29-36. Again, 29-36 at this point last year. They are currently 27-38. With DeRozan and LaVine both now in Sacramento, the Bulls have slipped a whopping 2 games from this point last season.
God.
Get ready for that play-in, y'all. To what end, AK? To what point? Oh, God.
Yeah, I go ahead.
Well, I think the argument there, at least I'm assuming from AK's perspective, and he kind of said this with Stacy and Mark, is, and we'll talk about it later on the show, so I don't want to spend too much time on it now, but the perspective is, let's skip the bottoming out part. Let's trade for young players who have upside and basically be on the upswing already. And I think that's kind of what they're hoping for. And if they continue to play like this, there's an argument to be made. I'm going to need much more of a sample against real teams, against real competition in a real setting to buy it. And I don't think that's a wrong thing to say. Like, I think you don't necessarily have to just go into it assuming that these players are going to be good. It's like, it's okay for them to have to prove that they are good. And I think that's kind of at the point where we're at now, especially when their priors suggest that there are some questions there. So I think that's kind of the argument. Again, as we've stated a trillion times on the show, that's not the direction I would have gone with it. But that's kind of why I wanted to talk about today, like this idea of Giddey and Coby, their ascension and their potentially being like the backcourt of the future, and how that looks if you've already got your 2 guys in the backcourt and now you're building with them, as opposed to we still need to find our guy in the draft and we're going to spend the next 3 years going after lottery balls.
So who is 6th seed right now when you put up the standings? I didn't see.
Detroit.
In the East, Detroit. Okay. And then I think there's a big Bucks-Pacers battle tonight, who are in 4th and 5th, respectively. Yep, there you go.
Okay. Taking that logic, as far as, the Bulls being that team on the upswing with the young team and things like that, I understand that logic. I get that logic. That's fine. If you're looking at it, for me, on the upswing means that we're trying to get ourselves out of the play-in and into the top 6. So I immediately, with the Bulls being a young team, you set a goal, maybe you might call it a lofty goal, whatever, but you set a goal for them to be in the playoffs, maybe as a 6th seed. That's it. That's how I look at it, because we've seen the play-in the past 3 years. You know what I mean? We know what the play-in is. So I'm looking at the 6th team, and I'm like, okay, it's the Detroit Pistons. Are the Bulls better than, or can be better than, the Detroit Pistons
have a better
going
core
forward?
Do they have a better core? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, are they better than the Detroit Pistons going forward? If looking at the Pistons' future going forward, looking at the Chicago Bulls' future going forward, are the Bulls better on the upswing, which they are on right now? Is the upswing and what you've seen enough for you to say, this is better than what I'm seeing from the Detroit Pistons?
That's one of the most confident no's I will ever speak in my life.
Yes. Correct. I don't have that confidence in what and again, I'm not saying the Bulls can't do that, can't come and shock you and maybe, take a leap next year and get to that. But just looking at it and what it is, as far as that young team in Detroit and this young team in Chicago, I think that the young team in Detroit is a little further along in what they're trying to do. They're trying to solidify themselves as we are a playoff team, a top 6 playoff team. And if they get into the 6th seed, they'll definitely be hungry for more coming in next year. Will the Bulls play in, make them hungry for more to try to, get up to that 6th seed, depending on what happens in the draft, all those things. It's a lot of things that have to kind of go right for the Bulls to do that. But just looking at what it is right now, I don't see how they come over that team right there. Play in, yeah, you can move to 7. Like, I think they could do that. I think they could move up to 7 just looking at what they have now. But if they are trying to beat a team like Detroit, that's a tough task, just looking at who I think is a better team.
Where did the Pistons draft Kate Cunningham again? Was it the number 1 pick?
I think so.
What, Jaden Ivey?
Number 5, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to remind everyone.
Thompson?
The Bulls don't need a top draft pick.
Well,
we got to take our first break, and then we will come back and dive into this conversation because we also want to take a look at those Tankathon odds and talk about like weighing the good you get out of going to the playoffs, even if you get smoked, versus prioritizing those lottery standings.
Yeah.
That's next. Hit the like button while we share some ads with y'all.
Time to look into that future. Let's see what we got. What's that? All right. See the Detroit Pistons there. All right. See Katie being wrong about weather. Okay. And I see the fact that I said that she tried to put some peanut oil in my
She's
stuff.
trying to kill you?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You know, I mean, you know. Hopefully we can change that future. We'll see what happens. Tell me what you see. Go ahead and take a look.
The show just turned into Minority Report.
Oh.
They're like,
Tom Cruise. Oh, no matter what outdoor or indoor activity that you prefer, it is always important to have the best view. And you get that with Righton Optics. Why? Because they offer a full range of optics products so you can see clearly. Everyone, including the GOAT, needs a good pair of binoculars. And that's what Righton Optics provides. The perfect balance of performance and value. It will not break the bank. And they have been around for over a decade. And I've checked with GOAT on these numbers. That is 10 years plus, ladies and gentlemen.
Can confirm.
Oh, every product receives a full quality control inspection. The Righton promise of the unlimited lifetime warranty, which is my favorite. Why? Because it not only covers defects, but also accidental damages.
oh, God.
From drops.
Whoopsie.
Just like that. Quality products that you can trust. Check out the full line of Righton products today at rightonoptics.com/CHGO. That's RITON optics.com/CHGO. Righton Optics. I see you.
Today's show also brought to you by the health and longevity supplements from Timeline. Timeline have done over 15 years of research and secured over 30 U.S. patents for their products. Dave, did you know that the cells in our body are the building blocks of life?
I'm learning, Matt. Tell me more.
Timeline is a supplement that worked with those cells to help give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age.
Excellent.
Hi, case in point, I'm starting to age. The patented ingredient is MitoPure, a postbiotic nutrient that clears our dysfunctional mitochondria, aka your cells' battery packs. Shout out high school science class. With regular use, you'll see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy levels, better workouts, faster recovery, more endurance, and more. MitoPure recharges your cells and helps your body's systems to work better. MitoPure is also the only supplement clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level. MitoPure is shown to deliver double-digit increases in both muscle strength and endurance without a change in your exercise routine. Sounds like a win to me. I'm never trying to exercise more than I have to. Get ready to be your best, most energized, most revitalized you. And right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off your order of MitoPure. Just go to timeline.com/CHGO today to get started. That's timeline.com/CHGO. Boom.
In your face. Wonder to hear what GOAT had to say because you said you had something.
Timeline in your face.
What's that? What's that say? Oh, I know what it is. When he hit it, I immediately knew what it was.
Hit the like, folks.
Smash the like.
Right.
Hit the like.
Smash it. Punch it in the face.
Punch it in the face.
Get a GOAT punch.
We were talking a lot about rage rooms before the show, and the way that GOAT hits that board just shows
We
that he
were
really
some
needs
GOAT
it.
was like an enter button on his keyboard away from booking it for us. But we can't jinx it before we know when the Bulls season ends. Because we were talking about that being our celebratory end of Bull season, like workouting.
If any viewers or listeners are managers, owners of a rage room, and you want to work out a deal,
hit us up in our DMs.
hit us up in our DMs.
GOAT is about that
What if we
life.
got a rage room as a sponsor for CHGO Bulls?
Oh,
That'd be
man.
hilarious.
That'd be so fitting.
That'd be right on
That
time.
would be hilarious.
Man. Don't let me do the ad read. So I'll be too chill.
Just show them an average post-game show.
Yeah, but don't let me. They wouldn't believe it if I did. That would have to be your ad.
Next
Yeah,
year,
that's
instead
what
of
I'm
hats,
saying.
you're going to be throwing axes.
Yeah.
Just put a compilation together of me losing my goddamn mind on this here program.
He said axis. That'll be his workout right there.
Yeah.
Timeline.
Speaking of rage, let's take a look at those Tankathon standings
Yeah.
updated after last night's action, Katie. So as GOAT mentioned before the break, The Bulls have slipped beneath the Spurs in the Tankathon standings from 8th to 9th after the Bulls won again last night and the Spurs took an L last night. The Spurs have played 2 fewer games than the Bulls, so it is by win percentage that the Bulls slid back beneath them as far as win percentage goes, as far as the Tankathon standings go. The Bulls are also now just a half game ahead of the Portland Trailblazers, who have lost 4 straight, while the Bulls have won 3 straight. The Bulls are also just 2.5 games ahead of Miami in those Tankathon standings, conversely to the Eastern Conference standings. The Heat have also lost 4 straight, one of them courtesy of our beloved Bulls. So, if you're talking about where the Bulls were, are, might be, falling from 8th to 10th in the draft lottery would cut their odds of the number 1 overall pick, a.k.a. Cooper Flagg, in half, from 6% to 3%. If the Bulls fall from 8th, having already fallen from 8th to 9th, to 10th, their odds at any of the top 4 picks would also fall almost in half, from 26.3% to 13.9%. And I know some Bulls fans just do not care about these numbers. Hey, look at Atlanta. They won last year. Maybe we'll get lucky. But on that, I will say the question that Goat posed earlier, as far as like what's in this team's best interest right now, those odds being cut in half if they were to fall from 8th in the lottery to 10th begs the question, is this late season run of wins even leading to winning yourself up out of the play-in tournament and going to the actual big boy playoffs as an 8th seed worth it, especially if it means you are eliminated from the lottery entirely? If you're a back-end lottery team, you know those odds are small, but there's still some chance that you could be the Atlanta Hawks of this year's draft lottery. We're talking about the Bulls winning 2 play-in tournament games and going to the playoffs, so you better feel really damn good about what that earns your team moving forward. If you are we don't need a lottery level talent. We're good with what we got. We feel like this young core of players going to the playoffs and likely getting swept by Cleveland accomplishes what? That's the question.
Me? Well, y'all know I am always a proponent of going to the playoffs. Not the play-in, the playoffs. I am a huge fan of it. This year, y'all know where I stand as far as what I wanted this team to do. And they're not doing it. They don't want to do it. They want to go to the playoffs. I've made my peace with that. What does it accomplish?
Yeah.
I guess getting those young guys their first opportunity in the playoffs as far as being the lead guys is part of it as well, because Coby's been before and Patrick Williams has been before, and those guys have been when they played Milwaukee, but they weren't the parts. The parts were definitely Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic, and obviously Alex Caruso. Those were your parts. So what will the parts be this year? Well, it will be a Josh Giddey, it'll be a Coby White, Lonzo Ball, Zach Collins, of course, Vooch, he'll be a part of that as well. Vooch is definitely a part of this, without a doubt. But those guys being the number 1 in that setting will be new, and they can gain experience like that. So that is something that they can have that they won't get going out in the play-in. Is it something I want them to have right now? No, let's get that next year, or a couple of years down, because next year's draft is pretty awesome as well. But there's something to be said about that for your young team and your young players that are going, even though we expect them to lose. So gaining that experience, I think, is always helpful to a young team, especially when you're going to be the number 1, number 2, number 3 of the future of this team for the Bulls. So going and leaving with that part of it, that's something. It's something.
I think that last part is what I want to focus on, because when you look at the opportunity cost, even if it's a small % chance of getting a top 4 pick or the number 1 overall pick, the reason that I feel like that's an important thing for the Bulls is because I think they need a number 1 option to become a great team. What we're seeing from Giddey and Coby has really been impressive. I don't want to take anything away from them, but even still, I think they're a good amount of talent away from competing at the highest level. Now, You may say, that's okay. They're not going to win a championship. Let's just get to the first round of the playoffs or the second round of the playoffs. To me, it's like, I want to see them compete at the highest level. That's what the aspiration in my mind should be. And so the ways to do that are draft, trade, or free agency. And right now, this is an organization that is showing zero interest in finding that player through the draft, right? Otherwise, they would just be going towards the bottom of the draft. They are not doing that. That has not been the case all year. This is a team that is going for wins at every possible turn. That's fine if you're confident that one of two things is going to happen. Number one, you're going to be able to find that player either via trade or via free agency. Or number two, you think you already have that player on the roster, right? Otherwise, you don't need to go find that star player if you feel like he's already there and he can evolve. And that's what I want to spend some time talking about today. But to me, it's like that experience is valuable. And I think probably the gap between the 10th pick and the 15th pick, like the 10th pick and the extra lottery odds versus the 15th pick, no lottery odds plus the playoff experience is probably not that different in terms of like the gap between the player they're going to draft at 10 or 11 versus 15. Yeah, you're probably going to get a better player at 10, right? Like the odds are higher of you getting a better player the closer you are to the top of the draft. But the difference between 10 or 11 and 15 is probably not that great. To me, it's more about the percent chance that you have of moving up because that's where you have the upside, right? And so that's why it was like a weird trade to me to trade Zach for your own pick back because they already owned the upside on that pick. They had the chance to keep it if it were going to be a good pick. And so basically, if you're just saying, I traded Zach LaVine for the 15th pick and a chance to make the playoffs this year, like that changes the Zach LaVine calculus in my mind.
Yeah, very much
but
so.
Circling back to like, what is the value? To me, it's like there has to be a level of belief from the organization that we can get a star another way and that they're not going to be able to do that through the draft. They don't have interest in trying to do that through the draft. It's got to be trading your draft picks for a star. Maybe we'll spend some time this summer talking about who those guys could potentially be and potentially doing it through free agency and becoming a player in 26. But obviously we've talked about how the Giddey situation is going to complicate that. So to me, all of this kind of circles back to where do you find that star player? And to me, it's about giving yourself every avenue to be able to do that. And for the Bulls, it's about maybe we already have that guy, or maybe we're confident we're going to get that guy another way. And we're just not interested in playing the lottery game.
Well, I think AK is kind of building this team very similar to what Paxson was doing the year before they got Derrick Rose and
the Baby Bulls.
I think he's building a team very similar to that. I like the way Paxson did. I don't like the way this one is being done, but I like the way Paxson built his. And it's building that young core, building those young guys, maybe bringing in a free agents like they did with Ben Wallace and getting him in and continuing to build through that draft and continuing just to add players, but letting players progress and grow. And then you make a determination about their future and how it goes. I feel like this one here, obviously we run the gamut on how we feel about it and the way that they're doing it. But I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. Is the difference is I don't think Paxson was trying to go and get lucky in the draft and be dependent on that. You know, like he had another plan and another style that he was really trying to do. This one feels like I'm gonna do it this way, but man, that hope and luck. You know, I've got to get it because I've got to get this free agent. I've got to get this, and it's like, yeah, you were a Ben Wallace away because that was a fit to get you to the playoffs. I don't know what they are away yet. You know what I mean? The identity has not been set on this team, and it definitely was when they were making those kind of moves.
And that's the thing. Before we go to break, like when you're talking about what can this team and its young core of players hypothetically gain from going to the playoffs, winning their way from the play-in tournament to the right to play Cleveland in round one. Because to me, what you're gaining is learning. Oh, wow, we just got smoked. We need more talent on this team, whether it's us getting better or adding more talent to it. Well, we're going to add talent. Oh, I guess we're going to add the 15th pick. Wow, I bet Cooper Flagg would help a bit more than whoever the 15th pick is. Well, maybe we can find somebody in free agency who wants to come play here.
Exactly.
Well, maybe we can win a trade and acquire a star that way. How'd the Vooch trade go?
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's not being structured correctly.
Yeah. All right, let's take our second break there. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation and talk about a couple players in this young core who are looking like some solid pieces right now in Coby and Giddey and how they've played together recently after the Zach trade. Hit that like button or shout out some more sponsors.
Oh, it's time for the goat to cover his ears because I got to talk about Ray. Right? Katie's eyes just bugged out. Like, that was awesome. Oh, man. All those show deals are going on right now at Ray Chevrolet and Fox Lake. That means the latest vehicles you've been looking for are now priced with huge savings, like $11,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for yourself. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you heard what I said, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you're going to get a great deal. Plus, of course, the world-famous Raise Price Promise, y'all, lets you shop confidently because it's a guarantee that you ain't getting no add-ons and you getting no hidden fees and you getting no gimmicks ever. It means the price that you see is the price that you pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, stressful negotiations, any tricks, no woozies, no wazies. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get the right vehicle at the right price. It's just that simple. Go see it for yourself. Visit our partner right now at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out, ladies and gentlemen, on that sales event. Be a star of the show. Take $11,000 off that MSRP by shopping Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com because they've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Today's show also brought to you by Lucy. Are you thinking about leveling up your nicotine routine? You got to give Lucy products a try, y'all. Lucy products are 100% pure nicotine and always tobacco-free. Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a little capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and extra hydration. Bam! Here are my Lucy Breakers right here. I'm a user. This is apple ice, my favorite flavor. Also try espresso, berry citrus. You can also get them with as pouches without the breakers. You also can get them in gum if you are old-fashioned that way with your nicotine routine. You can also get them in a wide range of the strength of the nicotine in each pouch and each piece of gum. And here's the best part. You get it as a subscription monthly delivered straight to your door, cutting out all those annoying trips to the gas stations, the bodegas. Oh, I'm out of my nicotine, whatever it is. I got to swing by or I got to leave and come back. I wanted to sit on the couch and watch sports. Oh, crap. Nope. Eliminate all of those annoying trips. Trust me, I'm a former smoker. I know how annoying that is to be like, I'm out of nicotine. It sucks. Lucy takes care of that for you. It's a subscription that delivers it straight to your door, y'all. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/CHGO. Use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. But trust me, take my word for it, you won't, y'all. I love these things. Again, that's lucy.co. Use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age. Every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. All right, rolling along CHGO Bulls. Hit that like button for crying out loud.
Oh, I wanted to cap off what I was saying about the comparison of the way they were building those two teams.
Sure.
The point also I was trying to make is they didn't want to build from the bottom. They didn't want to start over. They didn't want to tank. Like John Paxson kind of wanted to be in the middle and go to the playoffs, and do it kind of that way. The same way Pat Riley does.
Right.
That's kind of what he did. And
screw starting from the bottom. We are here.
Oh, yeah. Well done.
And the other
I'm
piece
proud that's a song from, hey, give it up. That's a song from Current. Slightly current, but, 10 years old. Current-ish,
It's in his wheelhouse.
I didn't recognize a single name at the Grammys this year, Dave.
I don't. Are you trying to say started from the bottom? Now we're here.
Yeah, exactly what he was doing.
Oh, that wasn't really close. But.
Can I name the artist? No, I just know that that's.
I give the man a little bit. He heard his song. All right, his music knowledge stops at 2006. So anything over that, he gets applause, man. He gets applause.
I still use my iPod that I bought in 2006.
Proud of you, man. Proud of you.
But yes, where they are building from is the question.
And yeah, I mean, like what I was saying before in terms of they either think they have that player on the roster or they can get him another way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like there are other ways to build teams. It just requires, more luck, right? Like I think it requires a little bit more luck to hit in the draft at 15 compared to in the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying either is a guarantee, but you look at some of these other teams, like the Heat, for example. They did it in free agency. They did it in the middle of the draft. And I think that's kind of the strategy that the Bulls are trying to take. Now, it's hard to be able to do that. And we're seeing what happens to a team like the Heat when they don't get it right. Like as good as Bam is, as good as Hero is, the Jimmy Butler situation is what it is. And he was the one that was really driving it. So in my opinion, you still do need a star there. And that's where like the whole 9 to 10 good players thing, like I know we've talked about this and said this too. It's like, yeah, you can have depth and that's an important function of building a good team, especially if the Bulls want to play the way that they do, but you still do need that 1 star or 2 stars. And so having the space to be able to do that, which again is going to be impacted by Giddey's free agency, but also just opening up different doors to be able to find that guy, and having to do it in the draft at 15 is a lot different than in the top 4.
Correct. This isn't a personal attack on say Ogunubi in the comments. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of your name. I've seen this straw man argument all over the place from whether they be Bulls fans or otherwise who are in the like tanking doesn't work and tanking is irrelevant camp. Remember, Joker was a 2nd round pick, not to mention Giannis, drafted at 14 or 15. Guys, those are the exceptions to the rule. Why is that so hard to understand? Shout out again to our guy Cowley, who also mentioned in that same column I referenced earlier, of the last 5 number 1 picks, Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, Paolo Banchero, Victor Wembanyama, all stars. Zachary Rizier, jury's still out. All stars at the top. That's how it works. When's the last time the Bulls were relevant? When they had Derrick freaking Rose. Where was he drafted? Oh, that's right, with the number 1 overall pick. Well, yeah, but the Bulls didn't tank to get Derrick. They lucked into 1 point whatever percent odds. Yes, exactly. Wouldn't you want the number that equates to the chances of them getting a talent like Derrick Rose, to be bigger than 1 point something? Maybe 14, for example. Stars are drafted at the top. God damn it. Why do people not understand this?
I was going to ask you guys a really depressing question, but Matt kind of made the point for me. Like,
come on with it.
Even if we're at number 4, do you trust AK to make the right decision at number 4? Because I don't.
Okay, so again, that is an argument that I have heard made by Bulls fans who are like, well, it doesn't matter where they are in the lottery. Like, well, the Bulls can't develop young players anyway, and they can't evaluate talent that they're drafting. So what does it matter if you pick high or you pick in the middle? The less talent or the less confidence you have in your front office's ability to evaluate young talent and then develop it should also make you want to draft as high as possible, because there is a smaller chance that those players turn into busts or need much more developing once they enter the NBA. Every way you look at this, it makes sense to want to draft higher. Hello? Is this thing on?
Keep yelling. I don't think it is.
Let me clarify. I do agree. I think we should be as high as possible because it's like training wheels. It's bumpers in bowling.
Yes.
You know, it makes it easier for AK to not screw up.
Yes.
But I just think it's depressing that even if we're at number 1, I think he can't.
But to me, that's just a different thing. That's I don't believe. Not saying I'm feeling this way, but I think that argument is saying that you don't believe in the front office.
Sure.
That's a separate thing than it doesn't matter if you're drafting high.
Correct.
Those are just 2 separate arguments to me.
Correct.
Again, I do think it's possible to draft stars later. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 13th pick.
Yeah, it's been proven time and time again.
It's possible, but it's harder.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of the case. And I don't think that's a tried and true strategy of we're going to be drafting 13th every year, and I'm sure we'll get a star at some point or another.
Yes, correct. We'll fall into it.
Or maybe we'll get lucky. But and I think what the Bulls are trying to do is just avoid having that multi-year tank and just trying to skip that. But what's ironic there is AK said at his press conference after trade deadline, last time we skipped steps, and now we have a chance to do it slow in the right way. And to me, it feels like that's what they're doing here. They're skipping steps
yes.
by not building it through the draft. Because again, even if you find that guy, part of the value there is the rookie scale contract.
Yeah.
Which you're not getting with Coby anymore. You're not getting with Giddey anymore.
Correct.
You're definitely not getting with any star that you trade for. Like, if you can do that. So,
and we're about to dive into this conversation about Coby and Giddey and how well they've been playing. But look, if you as a Bulls fan believe that either Coby or Giddey or both are capable of being the best player on a team that is legitimately contending for championships, I disagree with you, but okay, have that belief. You ready to commit to paying both of them a hell of a lot more than they're making right now? And do you have confidence in building a roster around that as those as your two best players that is competing for championships? I don't. I mean, and that is why so much of this is like about where are they going versus where are they? Yeah. Because to me, we're talking about like tanking is such an ugly word. Where are they right now? They're at the bottom of the middle. In my opinion, if they commit to building long-term around these two guys, Coby White and Josh Giddey, you're talking about going, as AK is talking about how he's building this team, from the bottom of the middle to maybe the top of the middle. But you're still in the middle. Is a team led by Coby White and Josh Giddey winning you playoff series, multiple playoff series. And again, if you think the answer to that is yes, as a Bulls fan, bless your heart for that optimism. Yeah, I don't see it. When you look at the upper echelon of talent that they have to go past, the East is weak, anything can happen. Okay. Do you guys remember what happened when the Bulls and Cavs were tied halfway through the fourth quarter the other night? You remember what happened when the Cavs started trying halfway through the fourth quarter? Because they beat the Bulls by 22 over the last 6 minutes of a game. When they flipped the switch and said, okay, we'll try now. That's how far away this core of young talent, AK is assembled, is from legitimately competing in this league. No, we're good. Sign them both up. We're good. Who needs the lottery?
Now, you know what? Like, I think I would also get more behind if the structure and foundation of the team was already assembled and set. Because even the guys I was mentioning before, they all, the way the Bulls did it, the way the Heat do it, if you put one of those top 5 talents on the team, you immediately ascend because that foundation is already there. It's already been established.
They're a top 5 player away from.
Correct, from being this. Like when the Bulls, it was already established. Joe King was already here, and you already had an Artest and, and all those guys. You already had a kind of foundation about what this team, you had a Ben Gordon, you had Kirk Heinrich. Like you had a foundation of what this team kind of was. And so putting a number 1 pick, like boom, now we're off. Putting a number 1 pick now, you still might have to wait 1 more year to go to another draft and then get someone and then say, okay, we're ready because the foundation has not been set or established. And that, for me, is probably one of the biggest issues with trying to build like he's building is you don't have anything established yet. He talked about setting a culture. That culture hasn't been established yet. It hasn't been set. We don't know what this team is or who those guys are. Not saying they can't be those guys, not saying these guys can't do certain things, but it just has not been set and has not been established yet. And you cannot put that on whatever person that is going to be the number 1 pick. Whatever person that is, they're going to come in and they're going to have to just do it, kind of on their own. It's like when, and again, I'm not saying it's this player, it's like when you would get a guy, Michael Jordan. The Bulls didn't have a set foundation. You know what I mean? They didn't have establishment. Their culture was Michael Jordan. Like, you get him, and now, thanks. Now I know what we're doing. Yeah. We built around this guy.
Auto culture,
right. You set it to auto, and you go. So it's a little bit different in the way that he's building this because there's no foundation and nothing to really stand on. He's building it on sand, and it needs to be a more solid foundation for you to build this on than he's doing. So that's why it's hard and tough and difficult to build from the middle. As Will said, it could be done. It's just much harder to do.
Well, it just requires that it requires that you find the star in a different way. And what I did not want to do on the show is necessarily like litigate the merits of tanking. What my point is how do you build a team if you're not doing it through the draft? And do the Bulls still need to find that star? Or with the way that Giddey and Coby are playing, do they feel like they have those and now they're tinkering and now they're building around that? And, I've been very impressed with Coby and Giddey. I've had questions about both those guys as players, but they are playing at a very high level right now, and they're going to need to continue to do that to prove that they are able to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And like what they're doing now, I think you said the other night, Dave, which was a really good point, is like, this is their chance to continue to do that. If they're playing meaningless games or if they're not trying to win, we don't get that information. So where they are right now, I think it's fine that they're not moving down in the draft. The difference between 9, 10, 11, and 15 is probably not that great.
Sure.
I think the information that you get from them competing is valuable. If the outcome is we know that we now need another star player and you've eliminated a chance to do that, that's frustrating, but it's information. And so I think the question is, from there, where do you go? And that's why I was curious to hear what you guys thought about, like, is this a foundational backcourt? You mentioned, Dave, that this is not something where you have the complete team ready and insert star here, off to the races you go, you're in the championship hunt. I don't think that's the case, but they do have depth, they have shooting, they have pace, they have speed. They've got like a couple of holes in terms of their front court long term. Right now, Modest has looked really good, but he's not at a point where he's like helping you win a championship this year. No disrespect to him. He's raw right now. He needs more time.
Yeah.
And so I think that they are going to continue to build with this and see what it looks like. But at a certain point, I think they are going to need to insert star here. And maybe once they are at that point, they will have more of a foundation to where they know who they're looking for or how to get that guy. But to me, it's just like, how do you do that if you're drafting 13th, 15th every year?
Yeah.
And how do you do that if, I mean, it's just got to be through a trade. It's got to be instead of using those draft assets to draft that guy, it's packaging multiple of them to go out and get the right player in a trade. And who is that guy and how do they do it and when?
Yeah. No clue.
All right. So, yes, let's touch on the fact that these two players we're talking about, whether or not the Bulls can and should continue building around if you're AK, have been playing recently, both as individuals and together, because there's some pretty impressive stats, not only for Coby and Giddey and what they are doing in their own box scores, but there's some encouraging stuff as far as them as a pair of players on the floor together. So let's start with this. Wanted to shout out not only Coby White for what he's been doing recently, but also shout out to our guy Eli from Bleacher Nation Bulls, who did the digging on these stats. I don't know, Katie, if you have a screenshot of that, but so this was Eli the other day. Coby White has averaged just over 28 points a game over his last 6. And what's crazy about it is he's only shooting 32.2% from 3. Dave, you've always talked about if White's 3 ball isn't falling, what else can he do for you? Eli added, White's one of only 16 players since February 28th to average at least 14 drives a game. That's a ton of drives. Among those 16, he has the 4th highest field goal percentage behind only Brunson, SGA, and Ja Morant.
Awesome.
You're talking about Coby producing for your team in ways other than his 3 ball falling. That pairing of stats from our guy Eli Schuster right there, it's a pretty clear sign of what Coby's been able to do in this stretch of 6 games, even without being on fire from 3.
The phenomenal growth continues for Coby White. Because you're right, Matt. Like, I would pose that question. Because people, if he's not shooting, if he's not hitting his threes, then what can he do? And Coby took all that personally. I thought he answered that question last year, and honestly, you saw him working to answer that question the year before, which is, well, I'm going to work on my handles to get it right. Well, I'm going to get this mid-range together. Well, I'm going to use my size and my body and my hair to get inside and draw contact and get to the line. All of it is coming together and working right now for Coby White, and that's what really makes me proud to continue to brag about him, because that's what I've been doing since he got drafted. Like, he's been absolutely awesome in his growth, man. Like, he just is resilient. The dude just wants to win and wants to get better, and you're seeing it come to fruition right now. Whether he hits the shot, before when he would hit a shot or miss a shot, you knew how the rest of his game was going to go. You could kind of detail it. Oh, man, he missed that. Well, he's not going to be in on anything else. His defense is going to be affected. Everything else is going to be affected for him on the floor. What that shows me is that 32% it doesn't affect everything else on the floor for him anymore. And that is awesome for Coby White. So he deserves all this praise, even if the numbers didn't show it, which they are. Shout out to Elias Schuster. Even though that they are, the fact and the continued growth of him, man, is undeniable, to the point where you hear coaches speaking about it, and you hear even Billy Donovan speaking about it, man. And then the leadership of him also growing on top of that, man. I've said it 3 times on this show. That time when he pulled everybody, all 5 of them before the game started, pulled them all in and talked to each one of them individually, is awesome, man. That's showing the growth. And he's like, hey, I can be the leader for this team. Like, yeah, I don't doubt Coby White anymore. I quit that like 2 years ago, doubting him about what he can and can't do, man. Now, for me, it's just about him deciding what he wants to be, and I'm going to continue to support that.
And there were a couple of quotes from last night's game from Coby that I thought really spoke to, one, his development and his growth, but then two, the idea of it's more important to push for wins now because that's what helped him develop. So, and this was why I voted for him for Goon of the Night. So, Katie, if we can show that, thank you. He said of Billy Donovan, Coach challenged me every day. He was on my ASS every day. He was on me every day to put winning first. Coach really transformed my mind to put winning first and whatever it takes to win. And that changed my mindset. And that's when I started to develop my game physically on the court, but also mentally as a leader. And so, like,
love that.
I mean, how could you not cheer for a guy like that who looked himself in the mirror, understood his weaknesses in his game and what he needed to do to improve on them, and then went out and did it. And so, like, for me, I think it's easy to sit here and say the Bulls need to lose games to get talent. And I think that's kind of a common thought, and I think it has merit. But I also, from Billy's perspective and from Coby's perspective, hearing that, I understand why playing to building winning habits can help guys improve and maybe take that next level to where maybe they are the guy. Maybe Coby is the guy who can be the number one player on a title team. Again, I think it's going to take more than a couple of hot games from either him or Giddey after the All-Star break in March to really prove that. But given where they are right now, given the fact that, like, what's at stake here is like a couple of % chance. Again, my preference would be to go get that star player. That's not what the team is doing. So use this opportunity now to see what you have in these guys and see if they can take that step forward, because whether it's another guy or the guys on the roster, somebody needs to take a step forward and be that number one guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the way Coby has been playing, the way Giddey has been playing, it has been very eye-opening to me. But I still need to see more of it.
Yeah. The consistency, like, you just want to see it over and over and over again before you can lean into it. I'll use the example yesterday when Matt came in here in Berks because it was damn near 70 degrees. And he was like, why don't you have shorts on? And I was like, because it's nice today, but until it's like nice for the next 2 weeks, I'm not pulling out no shorts because I needed to see it consistently in the weather before I start doing it. So for me, it's the same kind of thing. Like, these guys are playing incredibly, man. Like, Josh Giddey shooting 50% from three.
57.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's insane, man. What he's doing from the field, it is incredible to watch. He's hitting game winners, bro. So the confidence levels are damn sure incredibly high. Will it be consistent for the next few weeks is always all for me. Let me just speak for myself. That's what I want to see. Can it be consistent when you're playing against those kind of serious teams, like against the Rockets? What's it going to look like? When you play the Lakers, what's it going to look like? When you play those teams that you know are going to be truly scheming for you, what is it going to look like? I hope it continues to look good. I think that's the point here for me is I hope it continues to look this kind of way, but it has to be consistent for me to jump on the train and then just, celebrate and just be all overly excited. I'm excited, but for me to just be like, oh God, yes, we've got the future. Like, I got to see more than a small sample size and a small stretch. It's got to continue
especially
on and on and on.
We have a larger sample size of that not being the case.
Correct.
And so again, I said this earlier, but it's like, it's not on us to just come around to a guy the second he has a good game.
Yeah.
I think to a certain point, it's on the player to prove to the fan base and the organization that they have leveled up.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen overnight. I think opportunity and role plays a big part in that. And we're seeing that with Giddey, where he was not as effective when he was playing off of Zach LaVine and not playing point guard. Now he's got the ball in his hands every time down. And that obviously he's been playing well. He's been shooting well. He's been driving. He's been doing all the right things. But that also improves his confidence to where he's now better at shooting and he's more comfortable in that role. So those things I think factor into it. But at a certain point, it's like you have to see more of it. And so that's what these games are about now.
Yo, Katie, okay, I wanted to respond to dude because I saw what he said. Haven't said anything about Giddey about him. And you're right. Like you're hearing kind of what you want to hear.
Just gonna let that comment cue up what we were getting to next.
Yeah, you're hearing what you want to hear, and obviously you haven't been watching all year because when Giddey, this is not his first time going on a stretch like this. You know what I mean? He's been on this kind of run before where Like when he started, remember that? When he was shooting like 55% from three? Like we were raving about it. We were like, dude, this is amazing what he's doing out here. But again, I said it then, like, well, let's see if it can continue. Let's see if it can happen. And then it didn't. It kind of, dwelled, and then it was back to 10, 5, and 5 and those kind of things. Now it's different because he's the guy. There's nobody else. There's no Zach here that he's thinking of or anything out there. It's all on him. So now that it's all on him, that's what I talk about, the consistency of it now. Now that it's on you and you're that guy, you might draw the best defender now. Before it was Zach. You might draw the best defender on the team or the second best defender on the team, along with you and Coby White. What's it going to look like when J.J. Redick is scheming for you? What's it going to look like when those teams are breaking it down for you? That's what I want to see. If he continues to do that with these numbers against those kind of teams who are preparing for him like that, the celebration shall be had.
Celebrations. Shout out to BR who said at Daniel, hey, as a member of the Giddey committee myself, can we just chill a bit? Like, honestly, y'all, if those of you on the Giddey committee would just like cool it down a few notches when you're like, as soon as you hear an inkling of what you believe to be somebody not just believing in Giddey, but not thinking that he's like some incredible diamond in the rough. I read the phrase diamond in the rough in the comments earlier today. Like, oh, you're a hater. You're a hater if you don't see him being a perennial all-star starting like next season.
Yeah.
You're a hater. You're a hater. Like, yo, we're talking about how the Bulls could build a winning team and whether or not he should be an integral part of it. That's not the same thing as hating. But you want some Giddey celebration? Here it is. Quickly, before we get to what they've done on the court together, because I did want to also give Giddey his individual praise, and we gave him some when we were in pregame last night, Dave, talking about this stretch that he's been on. But so Giddey's, there's enough of a sample size on both ends now to talk pre and post All-Star break, right? Mm-hmm. Pre-All-Star break, Giddey, very modest, but very Giddey-esque, 12 points, 7 boards, 6.5 assists per game. On respectable, but not, eye-popping, 44.5, 34.5, 75.5 shooting splits. Mm-hmm. Post All-Star break, these jumps, outrageous. 23 a game on 52, 52.5, 86.5, nearly 11 boards, 8.5 assists. Like gigantic jumps pre and post All-Star break. And shout out to him. We were talking about how Coby on this recent streak is getting it done not just because of the threes, because he's only shooting at 32%, but he's scoring inside. Josh Giddey, in addition to his outrageous above 50% three-point shooting, has increased his free throw attempts from pre to post All-Star break from 2.2 to 5.8.
Yeah, and I think that's
nearly
the thing.
6 free throw attempts per game for Giddey after the All-Star break.
That's the thing you and Will definitely have talked about. What stood out the most to this about what he's doing now is the fact that he's getting to the line, because the Bulls really don't have a guy who was able to do that on the squad. So now having a guy that's doing that now, along with a guy like Coby White, who's playing well and now getting to the free throw line as well, and then Modest Ellis, who's also a guy who can get to the line when he gets that opportunity in the game. Yeah, it just leads to, good things, man. But, yeah, look, I've consistently talked about Josh Giddey and his passing, because that's the one thing that always stood out to me. I sat here when we played the Orlando Magic, and I talked about the conversations that Will Perdue, shout out Will Perdue, he'll be back here soon, the conversations he and I sat and had about Josh Giddey while we were at the game. Like I sat on the show and talked about it and raved about it, man, because we were impressed about what we were seeing from him, along with the shooting, but it was the actual point guardsmanship that he was providing on the floor. And we were like, man, dude, this dude is nice. Like, he's really good. He can play. He got some skill. So I can't go your side, you know what I'm saying, and be like, well, you hated him all day. I can't lie to you. Yeah, that's not the truth. I have consistently said I don't feel anything about Josh Giddey yet. You know what I mean? Not yet. I don't feel that way yet. So I'm glad y'all do, because you tune in, to watch that and get your feelings out. And for me, that's completely fine. Katie, well, she gets you for it. But, yeah, man, Josh Giddey has been just really, really phenomenal, man. Like, the numbers are phenomenal that he's putting up. And I want to see that baseline, Will, because you see all the numbers before the All-Star break and you see him after the All-Star break. I don't think he's the numbers before, and I don't think he's these numbers now. Mm-hmm. But there's a damn baseline somewhere in between that I can hang my hat on for Josh Giddey, and that's what I'm kind of looking for, is that baseline. Is it a guy who can average almost a triple-double? Sure. It can definitely be that guy. Is it a guy who, might not shoot as high? Sure. It could definitely be that guy. But I am wanting to find out what that baseline is for him, and I'm going to keep watching, because it's going to show soon.
And I think, to me, like you mentioned, the triple doubles in the box score, like the scoring has been what's been so impressive. You guys mentioned obviously the hot shooting, that's great. The free throw times, that's great. And those really have obviously contributed.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Josh Giddey in these past 9 games is averaging 23 points per game, 65% true shooting. The only players in the league who are averaging that amount of points on that level of efficiency or better are the 2 MVP frontrunners, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic.
Yo.
So, I mean, what he's doing is insane. Like, I mean, truly.
Yeah.
MVP caliber numbers, right?
Yeah.
But he's got to do it for more time.
Yes.
I don't think that's like a hot take by any means.
No.
But then again, it's also about how he's impacting the game and how the Bulls are performing when he's on the court. And I know, Matt, you have some numbers on that.
I do. And that's going to do it for those of you watching on our various streaming platforms, Comcast, Xfinity, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, and all of them. Thanks for tuning in. If you want the bonus coverage of this episode, just head to allchgo.com. And speaking of pre and post numbers, pre and post All-Star break numbers, speaking of that bonus coverage, let's wrap up this conversation about Coby White and Josh Giddey as this team's potential backcourt of the future with these numbers, how they look on the floor together, because we just looked at their individual numbers, both of which were very impressive. On-off numbers for Coby and Giddey sharing the floor before the All-Star break. Negative 6.7 per 100 possessions together on the floor. Not awful, but certainly not great. And I also added in each of them and how they did on the floor with Lonzo, because Lonzo is like the constant on this team, right? Sure. He maximizes every teammate's quality and efficiency because he is that dude. So you can see whether it was Coby or Giddey before the All-Star break playing with Lonzo, both net positive, plus 11.3, plus 11. And again, Coby and Giddey on the floor, negative 6.7. After the All-Star break, here's where things get even more encouraging. Coby and Giddey have a pretty substantial swing here, a nearly 20-point swing to now being a plus 9.6 when they are sharing the court per 100 possessions after the All-Star break. And I also included Lonzo as the experiment's constant on the post-All-Star break end. Smaller sample size because Lonzo's missed some time with the wrist sprain, but still, those are their numbers. I mean, to me, if you're talking about building this team around Coby and Giddey, that's what you need to be looking at.
You need that kind of player to help connect everything and bring everything together, who obviously can defend at a high level and shoot and space the floor. I mean, Lonzo's the perfect complementary player in this league. So let's imagine that being the backcourt, right, of Lonzo, Giddey, and Coby. You're locked in there with your 3. You've got good depth in the backcourt with Io. Maybe Trey Jones sticks around. You've got good backcourt depth. Herder has been really solid, providing some shooting and floor spacing. What are you doing up front? And you've got Patrick, obviously, who's locked in long-term. You've got Mattis, who you like and who is developing and showing you some positive signs. Collins has been great, but I think they're still missing some pieces in that front court that could help bring all that together. And maybe it's Cooper Flagg or maybe it's somebody else, but like that's the kind of player who defends at a high level, who can score, who can shoot, who can fit into what they want to do, that they're now going to need to find if you are satisfied with your backcourt. And I think it seems like they are.
Yeah, and I think the key, and I talked about this with Coby yesterday, again, with those 2 guys and Coby and Lonzo, those are 2 guys who don't necessarily need the basketball. And so Giddey's allowed to do what Giddey loves to do because Giddey is the best version of himself if he's got the basketball, if he's in control of that and bringing it up and setting everything up. Lonzo doesn't have to. Like you said, he's the perfect fit anywhere. Whatever you need him to do, he'll do. Coby can be an catch and shoot guy if he would like to be. He could definitely be that. And also he can pick his spots. So Giddey can say, oh, now it's Coby time. Go to work. Do your thing. So, yeah, I think that's why that looks so good is they complement each other so well because it doesn't invade anyone else's game and it doesn't invade anyone else's space. And I think that's why it works so well.
And I think it's also about their style of play. This is not DeMar DeRozan ball where, you know, God bless him for his ability to score and create in isolation. And the Bulls really leaning into that. What they're doing now is maximizing Giddey's skill set and Coby's skill set. It doesn't have to be Coby standing in the corner, space the floor for Giddey. It's put them in action together, run and gun and shoot and get to the rim. And like, I think that bodes well for both of them. And so great. They're playing really well. What else do you have to do to add from here?
Yeah.
BR saying Giddey needs the ball in his hands, but the ball moves way more. Everybody feels more involved. That is the other part of this. You know, the pre and post All-Star break numbers for Giddey, I didn't put him in the graphic, but His usage before the All-Star break was just a little north of 20, I think. It's 24 after the All-Star break. His role has increased with the departure of Zach LaVine, and it's for Giddey and Coby. Also, a significant portion of that post-All-Star break sample size is 7 games without Vooch. So you're talking about Zach and Vooch being gone, Coby and Giddey not just being asked to do more, but being given the freedom to do more and play the way that they want to play. And I do agree with BR in the comments, like, they're getting their teammates involved. This is why we're seeing in various games, apex versions of Kevin Huerter catching fire when Coby and Giddey are finding him open looks. Zach Collins, doing incredibly impressive things in a not only fast and free-flowing offense, but some two-man game and pick-and-roll kind of situations. They are opening those things up because we are seeing more of Coby and more of Giddey because of the departure of Zach and a 7-game absence from Vooch. So, again, it's a pre- and post-All-Star break sample size. Fascinating to see over these final 18 games, 17 games? 17. If this trend continues where Coby and Giddey are not only performing well as individuals, but making each other play better. Because even as a Giddey skeptic, that would make me feel a little bit better going into this offseason and those contract negotiations. If that is what they are deciding they are doing, at least show your fans that there's a reason you're doing it because they play well together. Because if you're doing that without that evidence, why the hell are you doing it?
Let me put you on the spot real quick.
Sure.
What do you think is Giddey's baseline, like numbers-wise? What do you think is his baseline?
What do you mean, like box score? Like
yes, box score,
like points, rebounds, assists.
Just regular, just
his second season with the Thunder, when he was a very prominent part of that team before the rise of SGA.
Okay,
I think that's his baseline.
Okay,
I saw somebody in the comments a minute ago comparing him to Luka's stat line. I was like, can we all calm down?
Man. I mean, that'd be
this
great.
Is like what BR said. Hey, even to my fellow Giddey committee members, can we all chill?
And when Will even mentioned the numbers we said who he's up there with, like MVP candidates, you know what makes them MVP candidates is they are consistently averaging that.
They're also averaging. I mean, Jokic is averaging 29. Shea is averaging 33. Like,
but they're doing it the entire season. Is my point
for sure. But I also think that there's a scoring element that Giddey has shown over the last 10 games.
Right.
But even as incredible and explosive as he has been as a scorer, even including for how much more he's getting to the line and how much better he's shooting from 3, he's still 10 points per game below what Shea is right now. And I'm not saying he needs to be Shea, but I am saying if you're going to be the main offensive engine of a team that competes at a high level, you have to be an elite scorer. And he has been a very, very good scorer. The numbers are what they are. No taking that away from him.
None.
But again, it's about the consistency. And is there even another level where maybe he starts to add, we've seen him reduce a little bit the floater and the mid-range stuff, getting all the way to the rim, getting to the foul line. Can he also start to develop a step back 3? Because that's, I think, the difference between him and Luka right now is obviously Luka's just a far superior player as in terms of his command of the game, his post, everything. Like, he's just a much better scorer. But I think when you're talking about opening up a lot of that driving stuff, it's a step back 3 and the ability to put pressure on teams from outside of the paint. As dangerous as you are inside the paint, that's where you really start to turn around. And so, again, he's developed a ton as a three-point shooter. He's been really good. I think that's a step that he's going to have to take in order to become great.
Consistency equals cash, baby.
He's getting cash. That's going to do it for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Exciting and fascinating conversation. And again, a conversation that takes all kinds who have different opinions and viewpoints about what the Bulls' plans are, grand scale as a team with their executive at the helm of it, and what some of these players are doing to maybe fit into it earnestly as we move forward.
You ain't lying, St. Maz. You ain't lying.
Can I tell you our poll results before we leave?
Oh, sure. What was our poll?
I ran a poll that said, would you want to survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Ooh, hell no.
Not would you, but would you want to?
Get me the hell out of here.
50% said yes. 26% said no, and 24% said maybe.
People want to live, baby.
People want to live.
People
Even
wanna
Bulls
live.
fans.
It fascinates me that a quarter of the people who voted were like, I don't know. Zombie apocalypse, do I want to live or die?
They're like, we'll see how this goes.
Let's see who surrounds my building.
We'll see how tough it is.
Yeah, right. Are they fast? Do they bite?
Yeah.
Maybe I can still go for coffee. Who knows?
Yeah, give me a big ass steak, a big ass pour of scotch, and I am cashing out of here.
Give me a big ass gun. I'm going to work, homie.
Bulls, another day off tomorrow. They will have practice tomorrow, Goat?
They should, yeah.
They should. We will
Hopefully
maybe
hear about
learn
his
something
injury,
about Giddey and his ankle that he twisted and or injured in some capacity and left late in their win over the Pacers last night. Cross our fingers and hope for the best news on that front.
Yeah, seriously.
But we will also have a live pod for y'all again tomorrow, 5:30 Central Time, per usual, to carry you over until their next action on Thursday. In the meantime, read GOAT stuff, allchgo.com. Become a diehard and take advantage of our sale going on this week, Monday through Friday only, $36 for that sign-up offer. Take advantage. You know you want to read all the great GOAT stuff, plus all the great Bears coverage, free agency, and the draft and NFL draft right around the corner. Do it now. There's the QR code. Just do it. $36, guys. I mean, come on. That's $3 a month. $3 a month.
That's nothing. Too.
Incredible.
Y'all can do that.
Follow Big Dave Bow, BAWL Sports. Will _Gottlieb is where you can find the quaff. I'm Bulls _Peck. We are CHGO _Bulls. Shout out to the one and only Queen of the Controls. Be nice to her. Give her the likes.
Dos mandos.
Katie Duffy. You had to be there if you were post game last night.
Thanks for being there.
Yay. Have a great Tuesday night. We will talk to you tomorrow. See you right
Hit the
back.
like.
Olivia, what's up?
We all silly like the mayor.